All right, so today we're going to talk about economic systems. There's four main ones that we're going to talk about: traditional, command, market, and mixed. So first is traditional, and this one is one of the oldest and simplest forms of an economic system. We're thinking about tribes, like going back to ancient civilizations. So the tribal, they would have family units, and they rely on habit, custom, or rituals. And things were very much divided by gender. So this group, the traditional group, slowly began to adapt to new ideas and technology, and there's a lack of modern conveniences. So they don't have nearly as many things or technology as we do now, and a much lower standard of living. So there's two broad categories. We have the market economy, which is very much capitalistic, and a command economy, which is centrally planned. When they say capitalistic, they mean more of on the end of making money. And the command economy is much more focused on everyone having a set amount. So it says no country has a pure market or pure command economy. All are mixed. So no matter how much it seems to be on one end, they're all somewhere in the middle. So how do we determine or measure the type of economic system you have? There's three major questions. The three basic economic questions are: what goods and services are produced? How should these be produced? And for whom should they be produced? So you've got to think, what are you going to make? How are you going to make it? And who's it for? Who's going to be buying it? So that leads us to a market. Think about a market, like going to the store and buying something. So the first question, what goods should be produced? So what are you making? In a market economy, the consumers decide. The consumers are the buyers, the people with the money that are going to be spending it. They pretty much decide what is going to be produced because all of it is based on what they are willing to buy. So it says private businesses form to meet consumers' wants and needs. If consumers don't want it, it won't be produced. So you think this is basically saying these private businesses that are owning these stores, they are only going to give the consumers what they want or what they're asking for. They're not going to make something if they know no one's going to buy it, because then they know they're not going to make any money off of it. So the second question is, how should goods be produced? So how are they going to make these things that they're asking for? The businesses have to decide that part. So the consumer decides what's going to be made. The business has to decide how they're going to make it. They must compete with other companies and products. If you think about stores like Walmart or Target or Piggly Wiggly or Aldi's, they have to decide how they're going to make these products, knowing what the customers want. The individual companies must find the most efficient way to produce to be able to succeed. So not only are they having to figure out what customers want, and they have to make it, they have to do it in a way that will make them money. So the third question is, for whom should goods be produced? Basically, this is whoever's going to buy it. You're only going to make those products for the people who are going to pay for it. So if you do not have money, you can't buy the good, and that's just too bad. That's how it works in a market economy. If you don't have the money, then you just won't get it. So it says nobody is entitled to goods or services. To be able to buy goods, people are motivated to work and earn money, meaning if you want something at a store, you're going to get a job so that you can have the money to pay for it. That's how things work in a market economy. So we get to command. Command's very different. So the first question again is what goods to produce. So what are you going to make? What are these businesses going to make? Well, in a command economy, the government decides that. They decide what they're going to be making. They choose what is important to spend their resources on. So for example, this is military versus furniture. So if there was a war at the time and they felt like, you know what, buying things that are helpful for the military are more important than making furniture, then that's what they're going to focus on. So it says, thus, shortages will exist for goods that aren't deemed important by government. So a shortage basically means there's not enough of something for what people want. So that means there's not enough of a product that people are wanting to buy. So if you think about that example with war, if they're making all of these military weapons or things that go along with helping the military and versus furniture where they're not making furniture, then some people are not going to be able to buy it because there won't be enough because they're not making enough. So that's where shortages come into play. So the second question is, how should goods be produced? So our first question for the command economy was, what is going to be produced? And that was what the government decides. So along with that, how should goods be produced is also based on what the government decides. The government owns the means of production. So that means they employ the workers and control the industry. They will set the wages, meaning how much you're going to get paid, and they determine your schedule. And there's no bargaining or competition. So whereas there would be in a market economy, you may have several grocery stores like a Walmart or a Target. Well, in a command economy, it's different. There's no Walmart and Target. Everything is going to the same one. The government is going to decide what you're going to produce and how it's going to be made. So the third question for the command economy is, for whom should goods be produced? So who are these goods going to be made for? And the government decides who gets what and how much. So it's think of command as like a commandment. They are telling you what is going to happen. They're telling you what to do. The government gets to decide who gets what and how much of it they get. And it says all people share equally in wealth. Everyone has basic needs met. And the government provides housing, which means they dictate where you can live. They provide food, and so they decide what to eat, and they provide jobs. So they determine where you're going to work. So there's two basic categories. There's a market economy. That's the one where the consumers get to decide. That's capitalistic. And then the command economy, where the government decides. That's centrally planned. Again, it says no country has a pure market or a pure command economy. All of them are mixed. So even if they seem more on one side, they're all at least a little mixed. So here we get into mixed, the most popular. This says all economic systems are mixed. It just depends on what degree they're mixed. So it says there's three models or philosophies. There's a capitalistic model, socialistic model, and a communist model. So we get one end, socialist in the middle, market on the other end. So for the model of capitalist, it's the same as a free enterprise or market. So it's characterized by self-interest and competition, meaning they thrive on which business can make the most profit. It is pure competition. Every business wants you to come to them, so they're fighting for your money. Self-interest is the motivating force in the free market. Because government does not provide for people, but allows them to purchase and own what they want, individuals are motivated to work to earn money for purchases. So again, that goes into the idea of you go and you get a job to be able to afford things that you want. So because the government is not giving you the money, you have to go out and get a job and earn the money so that you can buy what you want to buy. So for capitalism, competition exists in a free market system as businesses struggle to gain dollars from consumers. So free market means if Walmart is selling something and Target is selling something, both of them are going to try to do things to make you go to their store to buy from them. So it says, so they're competing. As businesses compete for a profit, the free market is regulated through company incentives to lower prices and provide better products. So they're trying to see what can they do to get your service. So socialist is kind of in the middle. It says government reduces the difference between rich and poor. So it's more of like a classless system. So key industries run by government. They control the prices and provide employment. But they provide services for all. It's called the cradle to the grave, meaning they support you from birth to death. So it says there's high taxes needed to provide services. So if you think about this, it's key industries that run by the government. They're controlling the pricing of things. They're controlling jobs that people have. and they pay a lot of taxes in order to provide everybody with the basic services that so they need. So it's very much in the middle. It's kind of like taking a little bit of the command economy, whereas it's run by government, and then they take a bit of the market economy where they are high tax. So it provides services to all people, which makes it in the middle. Also, with a socialist, this model believes there should be one class, no rich, no poor, but one. Socialists also believe that all people should have services provided for them. They should have health care, they should have school, they should have pension, meaning like payment or retirement kind of. So cradle to grave coverage means that they're covering you in all aspects. So to do this, those who make money are taxed heavily to redistribute wealth and provide all with services. So if they're saying that the people who make the most money get taxed the most, so they get most of the tax taken because they make the most money to help everybody, to help provide everybody with the services that they need. So it says businesses highly regulated, or they're highly regulated. So that means that there's vacation hours, all of that is regulated through the businesses. So a communist is a little different. Government runs everything. All people are assigned a job and a school, so it's very little choice. Housing is assigned according to what people need, and medical care is free. So this kind of wraps up where the government is in charge of everything, and they give you a job, they give you a school, and housing is based on whoever needs to be where they need to be, and there's free medical care. And the government determines the products. So that goes again into the government decides what they're going to spend their money on. They decide what people are going to be making at these jobs and how much and who's going to work there. So this system provides no incentive to work and earn money as the government dictates what you make and where you work. And it says additionally, you are provided for if you do not work. So it makes where it says no incentive means that because the government decides things for you and because the government gives things to you, sometimes people don't have the incentive or they don't have the idea to go out and work. It doesn't make people want to work because things are given to them. So that's the downside. So it says the system fails as there is no competition to improve technology or efficiencies. So with people not having the choice to go to a Walmart or a Target, that means that the system is failing because people are not competing for money. They're not competing for to go to a certain place for a certain product. So sometimes things are not made as well because they know that it's only going to be bought from one place or it's only going to be sold one thing. So it says privatization happens, which allows businesses to be privately owned or not government owned. So here we go to mixed. This is again the main message. All economic systems are mixed in some way. So this is kind of an example. It gives you different countries and it shows you kind of where they fall in the economic system. So we have communist, we have North Korea, Cuba, and then sort of towards the right, we have Russia and China. And in the socialist aspect, there's France and Germany and Japan, even though Japan heads more this way. And then more on the capitalistic side, we have Hong Kong, Canada, and the United States. So it kind of tells you where the country falls on the economic system. And that is it for today's lesson.